Well, as the world's finance ministers travel to Washington, D.C. for the annual spring meetings of the World Bank and IMF next week, humanity's future does hang in the balance. Climate change threatens to make the world either inhospitable or inhabitable for billions of people. The global economy is creating more poverty, hunger, and despair. And the war in Ukraine is producing disastrous consequences for vulnerable people just after a pandemic that did the same. Every country is facing this mix of compounding crises, yet every country has not been affected in the same way, nor does every country have the same means to withstand these challenges, let alone overcome them. Rich countries, for instance, after stoking their economies with trillions in fiscal and monetary support in recent years, have recently raised interest rates to address inflation, so far without suffering the deep recessions that many feared, although financial sector stability has suffered, as we've seen recently with bank troubles in the US and Switzerland. In contrast, lower-income countries that could not respond to the pandemic with stimulus packages and quantitative easing are now swamped by debt and projected to grow much slower than expected or needed for sustained development. Unsurprisingly, hundreds of millions of people in those countries are falling behind. Poverty and hunger have increased, while measures of healthcare, education, and gender equity have dramatically declined. According to the World Bank analysis, the public and private debt held by countries eligible for its development assistance tripled over the last decade. And the climate crisis will make those balance sheets even worse. Recent analysis actually reveals that developing countries will require between $1 trillion to $2 trillion in finance per year, much of it in the form of investments in climate resilience and resources to make up for damage caused by extreme weather. They're currently receiving only a tiny fraction of that amount. What happens next week will signal the world's willingness or lack thereof to address today's crisis with a focus on longer-term gains rather than short-term payback. Well, we'll be following those stories here on Arise News. That's it for Business Week, but send me a tweet to continue the conversation online. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the Easter holiday. I'm Rolake Akinkunmi-Fulani. Bye for now.